Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whatever side of the world you may be from. My name is Kingsley. I have here with me today Greg.
Yo, yo, yo.
Thank you for that little hello right there. And this is Going Into Black History, the first of 4 episodes exploring different subtopics within Black history in support of Black History Month. In today's episode, we will be discussing influential historical figures along with our own experiences and personal backgrounds as Black individuals. Let me begin by asking, what does Black History Month mean to you?
It's a time for me to, reflect on how far Black people have come. We've come a long way. A lot of people have died for the cause. So for me, it's almost like a remembrance time. You know how people, they'll take a minute out, just to show appreciation to, war people. They'll take that minute. So for me, it's the same equivalent with Black History Month.
Okay, I understand. And obviously me being a Black individual as well, I can relate to the struggles just as much as you can, as much as anyone else can. And, our parents, like, they came straight from, their homelands. It was a struggle for them to bring us over here to be able to, we didn't have to feel like the same kind of problems that they went through back when they were younger. Do you understand?
Yeah, it's true.
So here's another question for you. Your parents, when you look at your parents, like, do you think of the struggle that they went through, especially whenever it comes down to this time, Black History Month?
To be honest, not really. Like, my dad didn't go through it as much as maybe my grandmother. So with his mum used to work in a tobacco farm. So, grafting away every day in a tobacco farm. So he had to watch his mum go through that. So when he was bringing me up, he didn't want that for me. Hence why we moved from Jamaica to a more stable country, the UK, because he wanted to take me away from that. And he always had a dream to bring his mum away from what she was working for, like every day struggling, and bring her to a more privileged country. And he lived that dream before she died. So he lived half of the dream that he wanted for her by bringing her to the UK, letting her see life in a different way, more privileged stuff like medication and, healthcare and them sort of things.
God rest her soul. Beautiful woman. We pray for her struggles, It's quite sad to hear, but at the end of the day, we look at it as a stepping stone for us being the younger generation, and we're here to become our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Yeah.
You understand? So God rest her soul, wonderful lady. As for your dad, even him, he's even living out her dream for her. So he's even just as much of a pure soul as you make him out to be. So that's wonderful. Here's another question. When you look at today, the present day, all of the Black individuals that will stand up for things that aren't right. So, say, for example, in America, you have the shootings, police brutality. Do you still feel like racism is still alive today, but it's just painted in a different picture?
I don't know about racism. I know there's a lot of secret slavery things going on, slavery related stuff going on. I don't really know how much racism itself has as a contribution to that. So I don't know. I think it's more stereotyped than it is now, because a lot of people don't have to be Black to get stereotyped in a specific way and get targeted by police. You know what I'm saying? So I think stereotypes play more of a role than, I would say, racism maybe in the UK. I don't know about America because I don't live in America, but I hear from what the media says.
Social media does show a lot.
It shows a lot of police are targeting Black individuals, but there might be more to it. I don't know.
I see. Because as we go not too far back in history, we do have individuals like, I'm sure you've heard of Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
And how George Zimmerman had shot him just because he had his hood up.
Yeah.
There was him. There was Eric Garner, who got killed, who was actually choked to death on the streets. So when you think about things like that, it's it's like you feel racism hasn't completely died, but it's more or less, it's like it's just being painted in a different way. If it's not painted in a different way, it's portrayed differently, as in they cover it up, they put a filter over it to make it seem like it's not actually what it seems to be. But as time went on, people started realizing this is just the same as how people were living back in the day.
Racism, I wouldn't say it will ever get eradicated, but it still will remain there. And I don't know what the laws are gonna do about that one. But it's still there. It won't die. Probably is not as there as much because people, as I said, from history of fight for us to have the freedom we have now. But they will still have residual racism still there. It's not gonna get taken out.
I see. Right. So Greg, your background, you're Jamaican, right?
Yeah.
Right. You think you could give me a little insight into, your dad's back, like how your dad used to, because as you said, he's a reggae artist, isn't he?
Yeah.
So can you give like a little insight to, homeland Jamaica, if it's possible?
Depends on what you want to know. From my dad's history.
Yeah. Like that.
My dad, he was classed as a bad youth. So, but in his eyes, he was a misunderstood youth. So the difference between that is you class someone as bad because you just don't understand and they do things and you think, oh, why is he done that? Or, why is he so naughty? Why is he so bad? But in his eyes, he was just misunderstood. As I said, he had dreams that he wanted to live and he wanted to see come through. And for him to do that, he had to do certain things for him to see that. So when he was 12, he left school. He said, I'm too good for school. Like he didn't want to conform to whatever they were teaching him in school. When he was 13, he ran away from home. So he left his parents. And that's what I mean. People saw that as he was a bad youth. But in his eyes, he had things that he wanted to do. He wanted to see happen, and for that to happen, he had to just leave home, go on his own journey. And he returned when he was 20 to the community, and he had like a mad status. He was a bus driver. He was the first 20-year-old bus driver because everyone used to drive buses. As you know, I don't know if you know about Jamaican roads, but they're rough roads.
Yeah.
So for a youth at 20 to be able to handle a bus on the roads,
it's pretty exceptional.
Exactly. So he returned and everyone saw, things that were little part of what he had accomplished, and he just fed the family. He used to go away fishing. Like this was when he was 15 actually. He used to he ran away from his dad when he was 12. He lived with his mom, which is my nan. And then when he was with his mom, he used to go away when he was 15 and, go fishing, and them seas are rough. So people used to just watch him, saying, how's this little youth, him and his friend going out on this fishing. They used to rob people's boats, take them off in the night, go fishing. And they couldn't bring that boat back until they caught fish. When they come back and people saw the people whose boat, who obviously it was stolen from, saw that they had caught fish, they didn't want to beat the little youths no more because they'd done something, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's he lived a mad life just to feed his family and keep them going, because we didn't come from the best background.
I see. And now you've given me an insight into how your dad said his view of homeland Jamaica, what he went through to be able to bring you to the UK and raise you as as an image of him, to be able to grow and, if anything, be better than him. So obviously you wouldn't have to end up going through what he did. At least you're going through a bit of an easier route, you understand, more opportunities, and it's understandable. Like our parents, they don't want us to go through they don't want us to go through the same struggles. They want to make things easier and open us up to more opportunities to be able to get more out of life. And that's a very respectable thing I can understand from your dad. He seems like a very because I know that he does reggae as well, isn't it? Yeah. So I think of a very chilled out individual, like someone who's got a very open mind towards the view of life.
Yeah.
He's just
concepts are different.
And he's got a very strong vibe in terms of just living. So that props to your dad, innit? Props to your dad.
Yeah,
I would love to give him a round of applause right now, but props to your dad.
No worries, man.
Other than that, so tell me, when you think of the name Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Rosa Parks or Barack Obama, what do you think of?
I think of freedom fighters, to be honest. I describe them as fighting for freedom. Yeah, that's what I think of. Freedom, struggle, fight, strength as well. Yeah,
I see.
Bravery.
And what do they like? Those few names. There are a lot of names to pick from, even from today's society. As in, I don't know if you've heard of Colin Kaepernick. Let me give you just a little bit of insight on him. He's actually an NFL football player who's currently a free agent, and the reason behind this is only because at one of their games he chose to make a stand, but not necessarily a stand. He took a knee whilst the national anthem of America was going on. The reason behind that was because when you look into the lyrics of the national anthem of America, you realize it's not necessarily it's not necessarily giving support towards like the people that live there. It's more or less belittling the black people that went through slavery, as in they actually praise a lot of the things that white people did to black people back in the day during slavery times. So he took a knee to say this isn't right, but I'm doing something for what I believe in, and they took that as disrespect. So on top of that, he wasn't signed. He hasn't been signed since, I'm thinking, 2016. Since then, he's actually become more of an activist. He's received Nobel Peace Prizes from Harvard. So he's being a lot more respected in the media. And on top of that, Nike have actually just given him an endorsement because even they know that this, like, that he's being disrespected, and even for everyone else that wants to take a stand towards it as well, they understand. Do you understand me? So now he's been receiving more notoriety from elsewhere, even though he's not necessarily earning money from playing football. So when I think of him, I think this is someone that's actually here in the world today, actually trying to, show that things aren't actually working for black people as we speak. Like, he's actually trying to make a change. Like, show it's not necessarily anti-white, but I am pro-black. I'm trying to show you that it's not, all lives do matter, but the one life that matters right now is black people's lives, because those are the ones getting extinguished. So that's like a little insight to Colin Kaepernick. So when you hear the information I've just told you, what do you think, like, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good in a certain way to see that, so many people are endorsing him as a black individual. So it still shows that there are people out there that are supporting black people, even though it may not look like that because you don't hear about it enough. But at least there are things going on in the background that the media just doesn't want to show you. Yeah, so it's still a good feeling. Something bad's happening, but something good's coming out of it. There's a lot of good coming out of it.
I see. Well, I'd like to say thank you very much for having you here. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
It was actually very nice getting to interview you, learning an insight about homeland Jamaica, how you feel about Black History Month. Just everything. Just like it was nice to pick your brain.
Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad, man.
But thank you for your time today. This is all we have for This Is Black History. I was your host, Kingsley. But before I do go, I'd like to give you a little summary of the leaders and the notable individuals in Black history. So our first one we have is Cottagey Woodson. He's titled the father of Black history, as he is the one who did create it. He tried to influence as many schools and organizations as he could to participate in such a special program. This special program was encouraging the African American history, and the year and month it began was February 1926. As well as all of this, Carter served as a principal for the Armstrong Manual Training School, and he was also the second African American to earn himself a PhD and received a doctorate from Harvard University. Another person in Black History Month is Martin Luther King. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and he was known as a civil rights activist. He played a very important role in ending legal segregation for African American citizens who were in the United States. He received Nobel Peace Prizes in 1964, and he's best known for his I Have a Dream speech, which over 250,000 people came to listen to. Rosa Parks, who was also born in Alabama of the United States, She was known specifically for her actions at a bus where the bus driver told her to go to the back and she refused. As she is a black woman and she has rights, so she chose to sit wherever she chose. Nelson Mandela, who was born in South Africa, was the first black president for South Africa. He was a president for 5 years. He believed that everyone should be treated equally and also believed that people should not use violence. He joined the African National Congress, which is a political party. Nelson refused to give up on his cause and country. He also joined a direct campaign of peaceful and no violence against the South African government. Last but not least, we have Malcolm X, who was born in Nebraska of the United States. He was a human rights activist. His role was that he was a spokesman for the Nation of Islam. Malcolm X didn't agree with peaceful protests and non-violent protests. He believed that black people would lose all of their control and not be able to do anything. Malcolm sparked up a lot of controversy because of his beliefs. He also had people who had different opinions of him. Some people said that he was a civil rights advocate who expressed the crimes against African Americans, and other people saw him as a racist who was always open for violence. Malcolm strongly encouraged black people to cast away the shackles of racism by using any way that they could, and this includes using violence. There are many other individuals that have made their mark in black history for all of us black individuals today, but not necessarily just for us black individuals, but it's also to raise awareness to everyone else, to realize that we're also human as well. And that is the end of this episode. In the next, we will be exploring the story of Greg's father and his experience within the music industry, as well as other influences in the music industry. That is all from me. Thank you for listening to Going Into Black History.